Welcome to Comes with the Territory. I'm Marcelina Ventura Douglas. Sworn in 5 months ago, Attorney General Gordon Rhea, a seasoned litigator with more than 40 years of experience, is working to strengthen the Virgin Islands Justice Department, from filling critical vacancies to improving coordination across law enforcement agencies. Here's more.
It is with great pleasure and confidence that I nominate Attorney Gordon Rhea to serve as the next Attorney General of the United States Virgin Islands.
The governor's nomination of Attorney Rhea came last April following multiple leadership changes at the Justice Department, including the firing of former Attorney General Denise George at the end of 2022 and the abrupt resignation of her successor, Ariel Smith, after just 8 months on the job. During his confirmation hearing, Attorney Rhea laid out specific needs within the Justice Department.
3 items stand out. First is the urgent need to fill numerous vacant positions. Second critical need of the department is an IT case management system that will eliminate the need for paper files, expedite the exchange of data with the police, federal prosecutors, and defense attorneys, and alert prosecutors that court filings are coming due. Finally, I plan to step up the training programs for our attorneys.
Rhea also assured lawmakers that he would prosecute public corruption.
How will you ensure the government and its officials are held accountable?
Well, first, if any government officials are caught doing anything illegal or corrupt, I will prosecute it. There's no question about that, and I've made that clear. We've been, as I said, looking to expand our white-collar criminal division.
The Department of Justice was also working to address the lack of a functioning morgue on St. Croix. According to Rhea, who told lawmakers he was working to secure a site for the department's modular morgue.
So that's what we're having to do on St. Croix right now, and it's a terrible situation. I make no excuse for it. It's one I met and one I'm trying to end, is that bodies that need to be examined by medical examiners forensically have to be sent to St. Thomas, and that's costly.
Joining me on set to discuss how he is approaching some of the territory's most pressing justice-related issues is Attorney General Gordon Rhea. Welcome to Comes with the Territory, Attorney General Rhea.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you so much. Now, I want to start with what you found when you first took office. I know you started as acting Attorney General before being sworn in 5 months ago. What stood out to you the most about the state of the Virgin Islands Justice Department, and what are your priorities to strengthen it?
Well, the state of the department was mixed. In many ways, it felt like it needed to have a lot of areas lifted up. It was obvious that there was a need for more training. It was obvious that there was a need for a better case management system. And it was also became obvious fairly quickly that it was very important to build stronger and better relationships with sister agencies such as the Virgin Islands Police Department, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the courts, and with the defense bar, because even though we're often on, virtually always on opposite sides, we need to exchange information and we need to work together to reach results. So those were the big areas I looked at.
Now, there is somewhat of a public perception that cases aren't moving forward here in the Virgin Islands, or that convictions aren't being secured. Speak to me a bit about what the conviction rate looks like for the Attorney General's office right now, and what should the public expect within the next 2 years under your leadership?
Well, that's a multifaceted question. First, I was very concerned about the case backup, because we have a huge number of cases as you go back several years. They just weren't moving. And so what I've been trying to do is to get cases re-examined, particularly the old ones. Are the witnesses still around? Are the cases still triable? And then either dismiss them if they're not triable, or work out resolutions if they're weak. And of course, if they're still triable and still strong, then take them to trial. That's been very, very helpful. We've been having meetings continually with the Public Defender's Office to sit down with the defense attorneys and go through the cases that are coming up for trial to see if they can be resolved before the trial in ways that will be both positive for the government and positive for the defendants and for the society. I'm not a person who feels like everybody who commits a crime has to go to jail, particularly younger people, people involved in nonviolent offenses often need help. And there are diversionary programs and various systems that can be set up. I've been very much behind doing that and have been pushing hard to get some of those going so that we can hold over basically a wrongdoer's head potential prosecution. But if they get anger management or drug treatment or whatever it might be that they need, or even if they finish school and do some job training, then they can plead to a lesser offense or whatever. So it depends upon the circumstance. But I view it, a Justice Department is to do justice, not just put people in jail.
Yes. Now, how does that work? I know one of the things that you noted also too is a staffing shortage. So
Yes.
how does that tie into getting that expedited as well?
That's been tough. We still do have quite a staffing shortage. Our trial attorneys are, well, there aren't enough, to put it mildly, as well as our backup staff, et cetera. So we've had to do the best that we can with what we've got. But what I've tried to do is to make things more efficient. We brought down, for instance, a team of trainers from the National Association of Attorney Generals, which is a nationwide organization, so that our attorneys could get modern, up-to-date trial technique training. And I'm very content with what that training turned out like. And I think our staff now is much more up-to-date, much more up to national standards. To make things more efficient, I've been working to put into place a modern case management system so that the attorneys won't have to scrawl everything down that nobody can read. It'll all be done electronically. And we'll be able to keep track of new cases, old cases, et cetera. So there's a lot of systemic changes that I'm trying to put into place. We're just completing a contract with a company that does that nationwide for attorney general's offices across the country. So we're going to be up to national speed in that area as well. I've also been very interested in securing good relationships with the police department and with the other agencies that I mentioned. Mario Brooks, the police commissioner, is of the same mindset. We speak frequently, we get together frequently and talk through different problems, and we've been holding meetings with the various police detectives, officers, et cetera, and our prosecutors, so that we can all talk about what's working well and what's not working as well.
Okay.
We're now starting to draw the fruit is starting to ripen. It's looking better. It's a real process. But what we're doing at this stage is we're managing to resolve a lot of cases. As a matter of fact, we're now resolving more cases than are coming in, which is a very positive way for a prosecuting agency to be.
Yes. Well, thank you for that.
I could go on, but
yes,
there's a lot that's happening.
We do have a lot to cover.
A lot.
Now, at the governor's press conference last June, announcing the resignations of former OMB Director Jennifer O'Neill and former Police Commissioner Rhea Martinez, you said that your office would assist the U.S. Attorney's Office and you would open your own investigations into departments to make sure that everything was running smoothly. I believe you said, quote, you want to join them in the investigation to help in any manner appropriate, and then, kind of make sure to sit down with those department heads. Are those investigations happening and are they still ongoing? Like, should we see things on the horizon?
Yes, quite a bit. First, I've met frequently, again, with Delia Smith, the U.S. Attorney, her criminal chief, Michael Connolly, and we've developed what I feel is a very good working relationship. And I'm again having been a former federal prosecutor myself for many years in Washington, D.C. and down here in the islands, I'm very comfortable working hand in hand with the feds, and they can bring a lot to our cases. For instance, white-collar crime, which involves the kind of corruption you're talking about, often is a very expensive type of thing to pursue because it requires forensic analysis of everything from phones to all kinds of evidence that's extremely expensive. The feds, by our working in partnership with them, can bring in the FBI, the ATF, and the various federal agencies and get that kind of work done for us that otherwise could never be done. And so those partnerships, I think, are critical. And yes, we are doing everything that we can do to assist the federal government in its investigations. And we're also looking to bring cases together in partnership wherever there's a federal relationship to a case so that they can properly get involved with us.
Yeah. And I know we often talk about public corruption when it comes to government, but I think one of the things that you also noted was also focusing on the private sector when it comes to white collar as well, too. Speak to me about those initiatives.
Right, and we have a white collar division. Unfortunately, it isn't complete. Again, staffing issues. We have one attorney who also has other things that she's doing, who's heading it up right now. And we need a good forensic investigator and others. But by working in conjunction with the police, which also has a good economic crimes investigation unit, we've been able to bring a series of cases. As a matter of fact, during this past during the past 6 months, we have filed something like 15 white-collar type cases. And we've also resolved, I think it's 7 or 8 of those kind of cases. Often with white-collar cases because they involve thefts of money in one format or another. Often the result is to have the offender obviously make the victim whole by getting the money back and then serve some other penalty.
Okay. Now, I want to switch to the status of the morgue situation on St. Croix. When can residents expect to see that be resolved?
I believe, and I've made predictions before that have not come to pass, but I believe we will see a morgue in place and operating and open by August of this year. Okay. What we have done is, well, I met this problem when I came in as AG, and it's taken a lot of work, but we have a site cleared and ready to go. We've been working with the Department of Public Works, who's approved the plans that we've got. And we've also been working with a company, Vesta, that does this sort of thing, and that contract is almost finished. The components of the morgue, the modular components, are being held right now out at the port on St. Croix. They're ready to be moved to the site as soon as that site is put into shape. Okay. And it's our plan, and it looks like a reasonable expectation that all of that can be done hopefully by the 1st of August.
Okay. Now, we've seen a pattern with whistleblower lawsuits recently. We have Lucy Nunez versus the Department of Finance, Stephanie Berry versus the Housing Finance Authority, Peter Chapman versus UVI. And while not all of these cases falls under your office, can you explain to the public what constitutes as a violation of the Whistleblower Act?
A whistleblower is generally someone who's an employee of an agency who blows the whistle, basically goes to the authorities and says, I think there's something going on wrong here. Sometimes they can actually report a wrongdoing, or sometimes it's reporting the suspicion of a wrongdoing. That's what a whistleblower is. They're blowing the whistle on this. We have a whistleblower act here in the U.S. Virgin Islands that's similar to ones found across the country. And that's to give people who blow the whistle protection. Basically, our whistleblower act says that if you do tell the authorities about wrongdoing where you're working, if you report it, you cannot be penalized by your employer. You cannot be fired, you cannot be demoted, you cannot be penalized in any way. And so people who are ready to blow the whistle, please come forward. You're going to be protected. And it's against the law for your employer to ignore that statute. And if they do, we will go after them for that as well. So we can't bring white-collar cases unless people come forward and are willing to testify, be witnesses, and tell us what's going wrong.
Can you speak to whether or not there are currently any whistleblower cases that are currently under your review? Maybe against the government, employees, any type of things like that.
I can't really comment on ongoing investigations or cases in any detail for obvious reasons, but I can say that yes, we are looking at a few of those, and most of them would fall under the white-collar rubric.
Okay. Now, you previously said that the Department of Justice had been conducting a special investigation through its Special Investigation Division, a thorough investigation into former CAHS track coach Bruce Smith and the sexual abuse matter. Now, specifically looking into whether or not school officials were involved, had knowledge of the abuse, and had condoned it in any way. Now, Can you speak to us without providing, of course, intimate details, like you said? Where does that investigation stand today?
Okay. And again, I wish I could, but I can't tell you any details about the investigation because it has not yet completed, but it's very near completion. We've had our Special Investigation Division, and actually the chief of that division has been in charge of this investigation, really digging in deep to find out who knew what, who failed to take action, and why. And I predict that we're going to see some concrete results come from that.
Okay.
One thing that this whole episode also has led to is a change in the civil statutes, and I was a big supporter of this. There was a 2-year statute of limitations for victims to bring claims against people who were victimizing them.
Yes.
And that's tough in sexual abuse cases because often people aren't ready to talk about the sexual abuse that they underwent until many years have passed, much more than the law currently permits. So I was a big supporter of the change in that law so that people could bring charges in civil cases against wrongdoers anytime that they were ready to come forward. And I think that was a positive thing that really was spurred and has come out from the Booth Smith
matter. Yes.
matter.
Now, I want to ask you, where do you hope in the next 2 years? What do you hope under your tenure? What do you say to those in the public, to the community, as far as who may be a bit skeptical, as far as seeing changes in the Justice Department? What do you say to them that you hope your legacy will be as far as making substantial changes in the Justice Department?
Well, I hope my legacy will be strong. I'm not a spring chicken. I've been around for a while. As a matter of fact, I turned 80 this year.
Well, happy belated birthday.
Oh, thank you very much. And I know most people my age are out playing golf or watching TV all day. That's just not me. I felt that this was an opportunity for me to give back to the Virgin Islands, where I've been practicing law for over 40 years, and to bring to the Department of Justice the experience I gained as a prosecutor in Washington and as a prosecutor down here and as a defense attorney. I've been defending criminal cases here for many years before I came back into prosecuting. And I think I can bring to this job a balance that can make a real difference. And I'd like to leave behind at the end of my time, which I believe will be in a little less than 2 years.
Yes.
I'd like to leave behind a Justice Department that cares about justice, that wants to see wrongdoers imprisoned if necessary, or helped if that's possible, and that can help make our island a safer and better place.
Right. Well, Attorney General Rhea, I want to thank you so much. I know that we can continue this conversation. I'm sure that there's so much more, but are there any final words that you'd like to say to the people?
Well, I would just like to thank the people for having given me this opportunity, and I'd like to thank the governor as well. And all I can promise to do is to do my very, very best to honor and fulfill this opportunity. So thank you.
I want to thank you for being so accessible as well, too. I think it's very refreshing to have the AG be accessible and speak with the media as well, too. I truly do appreciate you being here today.
Well, I also believe in openness when it can be done. And we've been doing also, I just might mention, not only various appearances on TV or whatever, but also some town hall meetings. Had two about 2 weeks ago, one in Frederickstead, one in Christiansted. We're going to be doing them on St. Thomas and St. John. And I've been joined in those by Commissioner Mario Brooks and some of the senators and others. And I think that's important for the community to have a chance to see us, hear us, and also tell us what's on their mind.
Awesome. Thank you so much.